Happy Monday. If you are watching on replay, let me know in the comments, hashtag replay. Trying to get the Facebook feed set up so I can see people's comments. Oh, a little picture of Fergus at the farm at Apple Acres just showed up in my Facebook feed. He's so stinking cute. Okay, there we go. Should be up and going. Give everybody a couple minutes to hop on. I don't have any easy knitting to work on, and I'm working on crochet, but then I have to look at what I'm doing when I crochet. So I can't do a whole lot of that while I'm doing the live, but I can while I'm waiting for people to come on. And I'm just kind of chatting with you all. So as you pop on, hi, Linda. Tell me hi. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me how your weekend was. We had Melissa's bachelorette party this weekend. So it was a wild party that included knitting and crochet and lots of yummy food and some margaritas and hair tinsel. It was a pretty wild time. Hi, Shar. Um, but we had a blast. I probably at this stage of my life, I'm much more prefer that over, late night partying and not remembering the next day. Nicole working on the bottom ribbing of the Astro Pop. Next are the sleeves. Awesome. Joyce working through a pattern to teach another technique class. Ooh, yay. Excellent. Joyce came into the shop last week with a whole list of different class ideas on things she could teach. So pretty soon we're going to get started getting a schedule together for her to be teaching some classes. I think they'll probably be Thursday afternoons versus Tuesdays. That way I don't have to try and remember to come in on a Tuesday when I'm not supposed to be here or when I forget that I'm supposed to be here. Yeah, we knew how to live it up. Hi, Pat. Hi, Mercina. Hi, Mama. Thank you. Sherry, working on the Sarah shawl. Excellent. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is August 11th. Hi, Sarah. Working on all the things. Perfect. My name is Kristen. I am the owner of the Little Yarn Shop located in Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. We are, hi, Oriana, working on socks. Of course you are. The hours for the Little Yarn Shop are Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The rest of the market is Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So keep that in mind. Hi, Sarah. I got all the Sarahs. Farmers market outside is going strong. They are Wednesday and Friday 10 to 3 and Saturday 10 to 1. This is peak season for tomatoes and broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and corn. I've gotten so much good corn from out in the farmers market. The cantaloupe has been delicious. Cucumbers, pickles. Oh, it's just they are definitely in full swing right now out there. So worth checking out and supporting the small farmers, that's for sure. Sometimes they have eggs. Tim's farm sometimes has eggs, but not too often. They sell out pretty quick. So that's where we are. Let's see, what am I working on? I have a finished project. I took some knitting and some crochet with me this weekend. So I am putting kits together for hats, both knit and crochet. The knit one is done, the crochet one is not. I'm still working on it, but a lot of people are familiar with the Zauber ball in the fingering weight that is kind of like a slow color change. We've used it for like the butterfly shawls and things like that, but we carry the Shoppe is the company, and we carry their color changing yarns. They're similar to why can't I think of the name? Spin cycle yarns that Andrea Maury uses in a lot of her patterns, but it's two different colors that are plied together. They'll like Shoppe will give you a little picture as to my Zoom feed's not really zooming in on it, but as to how the color changes happen. But we have these in worsted weight and we have them in these big old sport weight guys. So the fingering weight balls come in 100 grams. The sport weight is 150 grams. So look at that big guy. So this is as big as my head. So if you were doing projects that needed that color change throughout the body of a sweater, something like that, or a big shawl, these 150-gram balls are really nice. So the sport weight is called Zauberball Stark 6. Stark 6. Sorry, my Facebook feed is backwards. They took away the option for me to reverse the camera. So anything I show you guys is backwards. I apologize. But the worsted version comes in 50-gram balls and they are called Alb Zauber Extra. It's a German company. So what could you do with one little 50-gram ball? That's what I asked myself last week, and that's what I was working on. So I looked on Ravelry, and this is what I will do sometimes with Ravelry is we often go there for the threads and patterns, but there also across the top is a tab for yarn. And if you see a yarn that you like and you're curious how it knits or crochets up, or you want to get project ideas, you can go to that yarn tab. You can put the name of that yarn in, and it will show you colorways that people have put, either the company has put on Ravelry or people have put in their stash. But then there's also another tab within that for projects that people have used with that yarn, projects people have made with that yarn. So that's kind of how I started playing around with the worsted weight version to see what was out there. And I saw some really cool color work hats. I decided to knit the Wixom hat, and it's a pattern by Knitterella, who is Jill Zielinski, who is up in Pinconning. Many of you know her. Many of you have met her here or up in her shop up there. But so I pulled this color and just a cream colored Barocco vintage, so 2 worsted yarns, and this is what I came up with. So I really, really love how the color change happens with the cream colored yarn. You can see at the top there, if you were just using it on its own, how that color change would occur. Obviously, depending on how many stitches you have is going to determine how wide or narrow the stripes are. But I thought it was really cute. So this is the Wixom hat by Jill Zielinski. Starts with some 1x1 twisted rib, gets into stranding. Don't look too closely. I am not great at stranded color work. So stranded color work, you're using 2 strands at the same time. So on the inside of the hat, you can see all these floats. It's not terrible, you guys. I just tend to knit really loosely. So my floats are pretty loose and my stitches are pretty big. This has not been blocked yet. So I know some of that will even out a little bit. And from a distance, it looks really cool. There is one little blip spot where I messed up, but we'll just keep that between you and me. And I'm not even going to show you guys. I'm progressing. I don't need to point out all my mistakes. It's there. It's my humility stitch, and it's fine. If it bugs me too much, I can duplicate stitch over it. But so I got this hat done and then decided I wanted to find a crochet pattern that would feature the yarn as well. So the Wixom hat, all you need is 1 ball of the Alb Zauber Extra and 1 skein of vintage. I think you could probably get 2 hats out of 1 kit. So I've got 3 colors. We've got 3 colors of the Alb Zauber Extra here. Where'd my other guy go? Color 2531 is the color that I'm using. And then we've got color 2529, which is this beautiful greens and pinks and purples and blues. And 2355, which is a little bit paler, some more yellows, some more spring greens, and it does go into some purples too. So 3 different colors we've got in stock, and I think cream would look good with all of them, but also I was playing around with how, specifically with this one, because it's a little bit lighter, what if you did a darker base color with it, either the navy or this eggplant purple in the vintage with that light one. Pam says, if you see my mistakes, you're standing too close. Yes, exactly. So kits would be 25.50 plus the cost of the pattern, whether it's the knit or the crochet pattern, and that's one skein of vintage and one ball of the Alb We'll have those here in the shop, but look at how pretty that would look together. There are some dark spots in there, but they're it's a pretty short little chunk in there. And in the same way that there are some lighter spots in this, like if you look up in here, there are some lighter spots, but you can still see the overall effect. So the crochet hat, it's called the Timber Ridge Beanie. Melissa, sorry, I don't think I sent you that one. So it's the Timber Ridge Beanie, and I can't even tell you who it's by because I'm using my phone, so I can't pull it up. But it's a crocheted, cute little zigzag hat. And the brim is done like most crochet hats are. You do some back loop only rows back and forth to create the ribbing of the hat. But I really like how this one is done because it looks like 2x2 knitted rib. Come on, zoom feed. There we go. The way it's done is not the usual. A lot of them that I've seen have been like half double crochet, back loop only all the way across, and it gives you like it sort of looks like a 1x1 knitted rib. This looks more like a knit two, purl two rib. And I really enjoyed doing it. I almost didn't. I read through it and thought, do I really want to put that effort into it? But once I got going with it, it's just a couple rows of slip stitches and then some half double crochets, but I really like how it looks. And then one round of the contrast yarn, one round of the main color yarn for the body, and I'm working my way up on that. So you can see the color changes. Once I get more done, you'll see more of a change, I think. Timber Ridge Beanie, there we go. LSA crochet. So yeah, one ball plus one hank of vintage might just get you two hats, depending on the patterns you choose. I think because this is what I have left, I think that's enough to finish my crochet a hat. I hope it is. Did I pay attention to yardage? No, I did not. I just started it to see how far I got. But I'm kind of in hat mode right now, and I wanted some quick projects. And also I'm really trying to focus on having knit and crochet options for things. That was one of the pieces of feedback that we got quite frequently during both yarn crawls, was the appreciation that we have crochet samples here, crochet hooks here, some books. Like we really do try and encourage both crafts because they are both fun. So those are my two works in progress. I am working on the Casapinka Mystery Knit Along, Hiss and Vinegar. But I am at a standstill with that because she took a week off. So there was not a clue released this past Friday. So Hiss and Vinegar. Look at this, you guys. I was so on top of things last week. I already created my label and the pattern's not even finished yet. I'm trying. So clue one was, this is a mystery knit along. I can tell you it's a shawl in 3 colors. That's about it. So this was clue one, which was pretty big. You cast on with the orange, 3 colors, and knit these first 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Clue two was, I think, the next 3 sections. So this, and that. I really, really like this up here. It looks like honeycomb, like a 2-color honeycomb. Clue 3 was the stripes and some 2-color waves, like a little feather and fan. And so now I am I am assuming I'm about halfway done or maybe a little more than halfway done. So this is what I have so far. If I had to guess, I would say with 99%-ish, I'm like 99% sure it's not going to get any wider. It's going to stay this number of stitches in terms of this way. So it's going to be like a rectangular wrap more than anything. It's on the bias, but I don't see it getting any wider. My stitch count has stayed the same this whole time. I anticipate that's going to be the case for the rest of it. So I am caught up on this. I got a little bit of that done this weekend, but the colors that I'm using are 3 colors of um Wonderland yarns. They're confetti tweed base. So it is fingering weight 437 yards, 92% superwash, 5% neps, 3% lurex. So it is tweed and it is sparkle. So you can see all the little, and what's fun about it is the Tweety flecks are kind of rainbowy colored and the sparkle is rainbowy colored. So it's very subtle. Like you don't see, it's not in your face sparkle. It's just a little kind of hint of sparkle in things. So the colors I'm using are, do I have all 3 labels in here? That would be handy if I did. Oh, look at that. Mine the Volcano, which is this pretty rusty orange color. Gravel Walk, which is this beautiful taupey brownie gray color. And Cottywomple, which is this gold. So getting us in the mood for fall, even though I am not in the mood for fall. I am not ready. I know some of you are. I am not one of those somebodies who is ready for fall. Do I like fall? Yes. Do I love wearing jeans and sweatshirts? Yes. But do I love sunshine and warm weather? A lot more. Yes. But I think it's beautiful. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I was a little bit nervous that the gold and the taupe were too similar in tone, that you wouldn't see much of the contrast, but I think you can actually see it quite well. So I'm glad that wasn't too much of a concern in the end, where we are. Hi Donna. Good to see you. So I had asked Melissa and she couldn't remember, and I don't think I did. I showed off, or I did, I don't think I showed off the swatch that I did out of my fingering weight skein of our custom yarn. So this color is Decada by Malabrigo in Ultimate Sock. That is our 10-year anniversary custom color. I can't remember if I showed everybody or not the knitted swatch that I did. My plan was to do the Isla sweater, ILHA sweater, but it does have some cables and lace. So I swatched just a plain stockinette down at the bottom, and then I did go into some of the cable patterns, and it's not the right thing. You really can't see. I mean, you can see that there's some texture there, but you can't see the cables. And I feel like if you're going to go through the work of doing cables and lace, it really needs to be visible. So I was a little bit bummed because I thought that this was going to be, the Isla sweater was going to be the perfect yarn, perfect pattern for this yarn. And that's not the case. So I'm holding off on that for right now. I will figure something out for it because I don't want just a plain, I know it would look beautiful in something like the Easy Eyelet yoke sweater or the Anchors summer sweater, but I want to do something different. And until that something speaks to me, it's on hold for right now. But at least I have a swatch of it with some pattern and in stockinette on its own just to kind of see what it looks like. So that's what I'm working on. New yarn. I posted a picture last week that we got a couple boxes of Barocco yarns in. One of the new fall yarns is from Ariel, or it's another version of Ariel. So Ariel is their mohair silk yarn. Generally, it would come in 25-gram balls, and whatever 568 divided by 2 is. 284 yards. Is that right? I think that's right. Should be easier to grab one. Haha, my math is mathing. Rank cloud? Oh, ranunculus. Yeah, you gotta love you gotta love autocorrect. So that's a possibility. My only hesitation, Mary, is that I've knit three of them and I barely ever knit the same thing twice. I have been trying to find another pattern that's a similar style, which was one of the things that I liked about the Isla top was that it was done on larger needles. Um, I appreciate the fact that the ranunculus is done on larger needles. And I've thought about doing something. I actually have, I pulled the really, really dark navy mohair because I thought holding that with this for a sweater would be really pretty, but I did just do that. It's right in the corner that you can see over here. The Salty Days sweater where I held a sport weight with a mohair. So Love Note maybe. I know that's a popular one and I have not done that one. So yeah, my debate was, do I do something with the mohair held with it? And would that hide how beautiful that yarn is? So I may just, I've got the skein. I took it with me. Actually, I was going to swatch with the mohair and the fingering weight to see how that looks too. So it's a possibility. Okay, so back to Ariel. So traditional Barocco Ariel comes in gazillion colors, 65% mohair, 35% silk. And up to this point, the balls of yarn are 284 yards for 25 grams. So these little guys. So they just came out with what they're calling Ariel Degradé. So it is twice the size in the ball. So it's 50 grams, 568 yards, and it's a slow color change gradient mohair. So you can see, I grabbed this one specifically because you can see kind of the more, it's more obvious, the light to the dark or the dark to the light, I guess, um with the gradient. I sort of I was thinking, hi, Chris. Um, in my mind, I'm just wondering how a gradient would look if you held it with something like this, but I think it would get lost. But this on its own or with a solid, like if you held this with a Heritage or a Heritage 6, something like that, or did it on its own, that would be so beautiful, this gradient. One of these plus one skein of fingering weight yarn would be enough to do the Midsummer Night's Shawl, which would be amazing. So just for an example, I have that really pretty like that. This one might be a little bit too variegated, but look at how beautiful those two would look together. So the Midsummer Night Shawl or I can't even say it because it's like Norwegian or ski summer knot. We're gonna say Midsummer Night Shawl. You've seen this before because my mama has made a few of them, but this is the Midsummer Night Shawl. Generally, we would say one skein of fingering weight yarn and two skeins of mohair, but most mohair comes in 50-gram hanks or 50-gram balls. Well, this Ariel Degradé comes in, sorry, they come in 25 grams. These come in 50 grams, so one would be enough. But how beautiful would it look if that mohair section, which is just these little garter sections in between, was a gradient through the whole thing? That would be absolutely stunning. And something like this, something like that would just be so, so beautiful. Light and airy. It would be gorgeous. So we've got every color that they have of this new Ariel Degradé. I didn't pull them all because I did post a picture of them the other day and they look prettier in person than they do on the screen. But there's this beautiful, it's a really pretty gold. I wish they would put, oh, they did. Rare wood is what they're calling this one. So again, you can see the color where it's darker underneath, lighter on top, the slow color change. This one is called Ballerina. And it goes into some really deep, you can see that dark pink in there. We've got two different pink colors, but this ballerina one is really pretty. And then, of course, because I've got purple girls, the wild berry, this one is much more subtle, but you can see some of the lighter tones on the inside, and they are not all wound the same way. So, you couldn't get two balls and start them in the same place, start them at the beginning and have them gradiate the same way, but it's a very long color repeat with these. Like, I think one of these 50-gram balls, you maybe go through two iterations of light and dark. But even doing that, the capelet, tomatoes. Yeah, I am kind of in that coral mood. Okay, Mom, I will set those aside for you. Matches my necklace and my nails and my shirt. It's like I planned it, but I didn't. When we had the Barocco aerial trunk show a few months back, they had that beautiful capelet that was two strands of mohair held together. It would be really beautiful if you held one strand of this with one strand of a solid all the way through, because you would get that color change. I wouldn't recommend necessarily holding two strands of the dégradé together because they're going to gradiate at different points. But really fun, beautiful. So the traditional Barocco aerial is $15.99. The larger skeins are $34.50. And they come in 10 in a bag. So we've got plenty of all of the colors here in the shop. Of course, Mom's going to make another Midsummer Night shawl because they're beautiful and she has made many of them. Okay, so the other new thing that we got a couple weeks ago that I haven't had a chance to talk about yet is this little guy, a craft labeler. So we've talked about getting custom, like ordering custom tags for when you put on in hats or in sweaters, things like that. You can create your own custom label with this guy. So the craft labeler is like a stamp, like an endorsement stamp sort of thing, but it comes with all of these little letters, numbers, and symbols where you can create your own, like, look, see, it says up there, like handmade by Jane Doe. You can create your own labels to have them say whatever you want them to say. And it comes with iron-on textile tape and dishwasher safe labels. So it's not just for knitting and crochet things. It is also for it could be for, glass containers, your water bottles, things like that too. But they've got a video on how to make it work, but you can obviously you wouldn't iron onto a knitted garment, but you could iron onto the little fabric labels and then stitch the fabric labels on dishwasher safe, microwave safe, washable, and dryable, which is super cool. So we have a few of these in the shop. I just thought it was a pretty fun little thing to be able to say, made by Nana or something like that. So these are in the shop. They're $36.50. And we've got them up by the counter. And check my notes. I think that's all I have to talk about tonight. Hopefully next week I will have the granny square tank top to show off. I had to nicely ask Joe to do one more strip of granny squares. She got those back to me today. I just have to sew in all the ends and stitch everything together and that will be done. So hopefully I will have that to show off for Finished Object Friday and to show off for next week. We've got a few more things that are supposed to be on their way to us from Molly Klein Designs. Those should come this week. We've got a few really cool stickers and labels coming as soon as I find them. According to the USPS, they were delivered on Friday somewhere in this building. I have not found them yet. The downside of being in a place like this is mail gets lost. I was hoping it would find its way to me, but it hasn't yet. So, tomorrow or Wednesday, I might be trying to track those down. But if you're interested in anything we talked about today, you can always message the shop, put it in the comments, or pop it in sometime later this week and we will get you set up. But we will happily put kits together for the hats that I showed off, or with some of this new aerial degradé, and make some beautiful shawl kits and all kinds of other goodies. So I hope everybody has a great week and try and stay cool. I spent a little bit of time outside today because I love sunshine. My dermatologist is probably not gonna be happy next time I see him about how tan I am, but you know what? That's okay. So have a good night. If you have any questions on anything we talked about, you know where to find us. We're here Wednesday through Saturday. Of course, Deb is here Monday nights up front. Deb and Ashley are here. And yeah, in the next couple weeks, we'll be talking about some classes and stuff too. So keep that in mind. Hi, Jamie. So have a good night, everybody, and have a good week. If we don't see you here in the shop sometime this week, then I will be back here. Business as usual.